In the early morning of a Wyoming spring thaw in 1877, the Brant Ranch stood weathered and quiet, its wooden farmhouse dusted with the remnants of melting snow. June Avery, a determined 19-year-old, guided her mare through the muddy ruts leading to the ranch gate, her breath misting in the crisp air. Her mother, the ranch's usual cook, lay sick, and June had taken upon herself to fill her place. Dismounting, she knocked firmly on the splintered kitchen door, her heart pounding beneath her resolve. The door creaked open, revealing Cole Brant, the ranch's tall, lean owner, his graying temples and guarded eyes betraying years of solitude. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice sharp with suspicion. "I'm June, taking over breakfast for my mother," she replied, meeting his gaze. "She's sick and needs rest. If you'll give me a chance, I'll cook for you this morning." Cole's jaw tightened. The barn hands had mentioned a replacement, but he distrusted surprises. He sized her up, grief in her eyes, but determination in her stance. "One day," he grunted, stepping aside. June's face softened with a small smile. "Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint." Inside, the kitchen smelled of stale grease and cold ashes. June set down her satchel, filled with fresh eggs, wild onions, and dried herbs, and rolled up her sleeves. She worked with precision, cracking eggs evenly, whisking without spilling, and folding herbs into stewing meat. The kitchen came alive with the sizzle of a skillet and the bubbling of a cast-iron pot. Cole lingered in the doorway, arms crossed, expecting chaos but finding competence. His jaw softened as the aroma of savory stew and fresh bread filled the air. June ladled meat and gravy into a pot, set on the table, and plated scrambled eggs with a single slice of toast for serving, simple, honest food. Cole stepped forward, took a spoonful of stew, and tasted it. The rich, herby warmth stirred something unexpected in him. Comfort. He glanced at June, who stood by the stove, her calm masking a pounding heart. Without a word, he set a pitcher of milk on the table with a quiet clink and retreated. As ranch hands filed in, they cast skeptical glances but ate in silence, their forks moving steadily. Murmurs of good and simple broke the quiet, and every plate was soon clean. June cleared the table, washing dishes in focused silence. Cole lingered nearby. "That was good," he said gruffly. June paused, hands in soapy water. "Thank you, sir." He nodded and walked away, but paused at the door. "Tomorrow," he said. June exhaled, relief washing over her. "Yes, sir, tomorrow." The next morning, June laid out golden cornbread muffins, crisp bacon, and herbed eggs. The ranch hands, initially doubtful, ate with growing appreciation. A cowboy sneered at the muffins, but softened after a bite. "Not bad," he muttered. Another asked about the herbs, surprised by their garden-fresh taste. June nodded, wiping her hands, avoiding Cole's gaze from the head of the table. He didn't eat with them, but watched her work. When the meal ended, he stood, nodded once, and left, leaving silence. June found a bottle of fresh milk on the doorstep, dew glistening on its glass. She whispered, "Thank you, sir," her heart lighter as she placed it on the counter. June's days settled into a rhythm of cooking hearty meals. Beef stew, baked beans, crusty bread, and pumpkin pie from her mother's cellar squash. The ranch hands ate in appreciative silence, and Cole's quiet approvals grew frequent. One evening, as June cleared dishes, Cole appeared in the doorway. "That was fine cooking today," he said, his voice low. June met his gaze, her wrist stilling midair. "Thank you," she replied softly. He nodded and left, but the air felt charged with something unspoken. June folded her hands, sensing confidence, relief, or perhaps hope taking root in the quiet kitchen. Cole had been ready to dismiss her, but her food and her care had earned his respect, and maybe something more than a week into June's time at Brant Ranch. The early morning air held patches of lingering snow. June woke before dawn, dressing swiftly in the cold. She slipped into the kitchen, needle and thread in hand, and stitched a torn curtain corner with neat knots. The fabric fluttered as she stepped back, satisfied. Outside, she cleared snow from the horse trough with a barn fork, her breath steaming in the air. Cole appeared in the doorway, coffee mug in hand, pausing to touch the fork's handle before walking away without a word. June returned to the kitchen, Preparing a blueberry pie with wild berries, sugar, eggs, and Cole's fresh milk, her movements rhythmic and purposeful. At breakfast, the pie's warm aroma filled the kitchen. Ranch hands murmured in delight. As June served generous slices with coffee, Cole lingered longer than usual, leaning against the doorframe, his eyes on her care, not just the food. After breakfast, June stacked firewood in the barn, carrying smaller pieces while Cole, unprompted, lifted heavier logs. Their shared labor was quiet, marked only by boots on straw and log settling. June smiled. Cole nodded, and they worked in companionable silence. Later, as June washed dishes, the screen door squeaked. Cole tightened its hinge without a word, tested the swing, and left. That evening, June prepared vegetable stew and berry toast garnish with mint. While slicing bread, her knife slipped, nicking her palm. She gasped, blood welling. Cole was at her side instantly, pressing a cloth to the cut and running it under cold water. His fingers, deft but trembling, wrapped her hand in linen. Their eyes met. "Thank you, sir," June whispered. Cole checked her pulse, his touch gentle. "Good," he said softly. "You eat with them tonight. I'll tend the stew." At dusk, June sat with the ranch hands, her bandaged hand resting as Cole served her stew. Their hands brushed as he took her bowl to wash, and her heart fluttered. Cole lingered in the doorway, refilling her pitcher with milk, their fingers brushing again. He lifted his cap, scratched the stubble, and surveyed the kitchen, the patched curtains, stacked firewood, June's quiet composure. Nodding, he stepped into the dusk. June rinsed her hands, feeling something fragile but strong growing between them, built on quiet acts of care. One cold winter evening, June pulled a golden-crusted pie from the oven, its warmth lighting her cheeks by the hearth. Cole entered silently, sitting on a bench nearby, watching her with steady calm. She spoke softly. "My mother used to make this every winter," said it warmed hearts. Cole nodded, sharing a memory of his mother's pantry pies. Then, his voice low, he mentioned a woman he'd lost, who pressed a wheat grain into pie crust for luck. June paused, tasting the sweet pie. Later, she noticed a carved wheat ear under a hearthstone, rough and intricate. Her breath caught. "It's for protection," Cole said softly, not meeting her eyes. June touched it, whispering, "Thank you." They stood by the hearth, the carving a silent token of his past and their present, binding them in quiet understanding. Weeks later, in late autumn, June stirred a pot of stew, her mother's letter heavy in her apron pocket. "My fever's back. I need you home soon." It read. She had cooked breakfast with a polite smile, but each task felt tinged with farewell. Cole entered as she set a bowl before him. "Mother is worse," she said softly. "After this week, I must go home." He nodded, troubled, sipping the stew. "After this week, then?" he asked. June bit her lip. "Yes, sir." She can't cook for the ranch alone. Over dinner, word of June's departure spread. The ranch hands ate in subdued silence, the firelight softer. June plated the final dish, her voice cracking as she announced, "I leave Friday dawn." Cole stood in the doorway, his silhouette dark. "There are people who warm a place and pass on," he said. "I'm used to that. Make your trip well." June's vision blurred as she washed dishes, tears warm on her cheeks. Sleep eluded her that night, the wind swirling around the ranch, her thoughts on whether she'd been just a passing warmth. The next morning, June swept leave from the porch, her saddlebags ready. She stoked the hearth, leaving the kitchen warm one last time. At midday, Cole appeared, his jacket dusted from barn work. He'd repaired the porch roof overnight to shield her from rain, a quiet act for her memory of the ranch. June stepped closer, tears gone but voice trembling. "You did that for me?" Cole nodded. "For what you planted here." She placed her hand over his. "Thank you." He swallowed. "Stay as long as you can." June's voice caught. "Family is family. But you don't have to go hungry to care for her." They held hands as the autumn wind rattled the door, knowing she'd leave but feeling something deeper take root. The morning after June's departure, Cole sat at the empty table, pushing overcooked ham and dry biscuits around his plate. The kitchen felt hollow without her. He opened a drawer and found a folded note in June's tidy script, his name on it. Inside was a plum pie recipe with smudged notes and a message. Thank you for letting me care for your kitchen, and maybe for letting me care for your heart just a little. Cole's chest tightened as he traced the words, memorizing them. Tears welled as he leaned against the counter, the note a tether to her warmth. That evening, he baked the pie, following her recipe with care. The crust browned, berries glistened, and the first bite brought her presents back, cherished, warm. Cole realized he could still feed something true, vowing to wait for her return or find the courage to invite her back. Weeks later, he rode into June's hometown, carrying a pie dish wrapped in cloth. At Avery's table, her mother's new eatery, he entered to find June behind the counter, her hands lined with work. She froze, eyes locked on him. "Good afternoon, ma'am," he said, setting the pie down. June's mother hugged him, whispering thanks. June stepped forward, her voice steady. "You didn't have to." Cole gestured the pie. "Your plum pie. It's the first warm my kitchen's had in weeks." He paused, searching her face. "I don't know if your kitchen has room for an old rancher. I'm tired of cold stoves. If there's space, I brought wood." June's breath hitched. Her mother smiled, leaving them to talk. June touched the pie, then Cole's hand. "There's always room for wood, and for you." Cole exhaled, smiling genuinely. They sat, ate pie, and drank coffee, the eatery filled with warmth. Cole had brought himself, ready to build a place here a year later. Avery's table thrived on June's hometown street, its golden wheat sign, carved by June and Cole, symbolizing hope. Mid-morning light streamed through clean windows as June pulled cornbread from the skillet, its scent mingling with customers' laughter. Cole polished tables, his hands now at home in this space. June's mother knitted on the porch, her heart full watching them. The lunch crowd savored June's stew, bread, and cherry cobbler, drawn by community as much as food. A chalkboard listed their specials, June's cornbread and Cole's ranch house bliss stew, reflecting their partnership. June carried a tray, and Cole nodded, inspecting plates. A child took a muffin, smiling as June and Cole knelt to her level. June touched Cole's shoulder, whispering, "The hearth is warm today." He gazed at her. "Might be the wood, or you." Her mother draped a knitted scarf around Cole, wrapping them in a hug. The afternoon glowed golden, customers leaving with warm farewells. June and Cole stood, hands touching across the counter. "It's warm now," she said. He leaned close. "Because you never gave up on this kitchen, or me." They embraced as the last diners left, the hearth glowing, the wheat sign above. Stars blinked outside, and June whispered, "It's warm because of you." Their love, rooted in shared meals and quiet care, had built a home. Avery's table was more than an eatery. It was their testament to Revent's kindled love, a hearth burning bright with possibility.